Hello and welcome to EMAR EVOLVE TALK, and today's guest, a very special guest, is Gary Hawke. Welcome, Gary.
Welcome, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Well, it's very nice to have you, and Gary is all the way from London, England.
Yes.
So Gary Hawke is a coach, author, teacher, and group facilitator. And you do a specific type of coaching called Alethic Coaching. Did I say it right?
Well, some people say Alethic, some people say Alethic. I tend to say Alethic because I'm a northerner.
Oh, Alethic
and
Coaching.
it's easy for me to say if I say Alethic. Alethic
Okay.
just sounds like a wrong word to me. But
It's called Alethic Coaching.
that sounds much better to me now.
We were actually introduced through one of your clients. So basically, I heard about you, and I'm a life coach myself, and I know that every coach needs a coach. I really believe in coaching, and I decided to reach out to you. And we've had a number of sessions, and I think you're absolutely amazing. And I've recommended you to many people. And I think what's interesting about your style of coaching is that it seems like you really work in the moment, and you work with what's present in the moment, and you really pay attention to language, which I really appreciated. So we've had a number of amazing coaching sessions that led us into really amazing places, and you have so many tools that you bring out in the moment because you have a very interesting background with the drama therapy as well. So yeah, I would say that your approach is very unique. And so is that Alethic Coaching?
So Alethic is a Greek word meaning truth. But it's a sort of Greek word that means truth as the natural necessity of something. So an idea might be, I was trying to think about how I might explain Alethic, and one way of suggesting that if you think about water, the natural necessity of water, if you apply heat to it, is to boil, and if you apply cold to it, is to freeze. So water will do something in its natural necessity as a truth.
Yes.
And when you apply that to human beings, it would seem to me that the natural necessity of human beings is to be free. And also the natural necessity of human beings is to be spiritual. And I think that so the reason why we will say that those are Alethic truths is they are truths. They're truths that can't be undone. As opposed to something like it's true to say that my hair is short now, I can undo that by growing it long. So some truths can be undone and some truths can't be undone. So I believe that human beings have a natural necessity to be free.
Very cool. I like that. Free and spiritual. You're just very present, and you work with what's presented in the moment. Does that make sense?
Think that it does. I think that comes from my acting background. When I trained as an actor, one of the things I was really fascinated in is improvisation, or the process of being in the moment. And it's so for me, it's very much about listening to what the person says, and then asking myself, what is it that what's their intentionality, or what do they mean by what they say, and then asking the question of, is this what you mean, or is this what you are saying? So what I'm trying to do, in a sense, is being fully present to the other person to get a sense of, do I really understand what they're saying? And if I'm really struggling to get a sense of what they're saying, is then to say to ask the person, is this what you mean? So it's always a position of saying, do I understand?
Okay. Are you open to giving people just a little taste of what that looks like, where you coach me right now?
Yeah, okay, then, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So one of many things that I do is I'm a recording artist. And I have recently recommitted to my music career. And something that I've always wanted to do, do I really want to do it? Because why am I afraid? Let me think. Well, something that I committed to on Facebook is to go on the street and play my music, audio of my music, and to sell my CDs.
Okay.
This absolutely terrifies me, but I committed to doing it. I don't even know why. So I just feel really awkward and shy and judgmental of just doing that act.
When you say that you are committing to something, So if I can get this correct, the act is playing your music in public on the street.
Yeah, I'm facing a fear.
Okay, so you're committing yourself to facing a fear.
Yes.
Because what you suggested is you were committed to playing music on the street, but what you're actually saying is you're committing yourself to facing a fear.
Yes.
It's the question might be, if we take committing yourself to facing a fear as opposed to committing yourself to playing music in public, we can then say, what is the fear that you are committing yourself to exploring?
Mm-hmm.
The intentionality that you have to commit to something is committing to absencing the fear or expressing the fear.
I see what you're saying. Well, let's see. So I am committing to an act that I imagine will be fearful for me, but I've never done it, so I don't really know.
Right. What is the fear that you imagine you would have to face in committing to this act?
Well, if I imagine myself doing that, I have a lot of judgments that come to my mind. Just that vision of me standing there feels to me, is it fear or is it? I think it's more judgments. So I'm maybe I'm healing judgments rather than facing a fear.
Are you facing your fear of judgment?
Yes, I think so.
What I'm aware of is that if you're going to stand out in public and play your music, people are going to judge it. So they're going to judge it as...
My fear is not people judging my music. I feel confident in my music. My fear is what they think of me for doing that. So it's
what do you what do you think of you doing that?
To me, okay, so yeah, this is good. So I'm becoming clearer what the fear is. So if I'm standing there in the street, to me that means I'm a failed artist, that I have to go on the street. I think of, so it's like, well, she hasn't succeeded, so poor thing, here she is on the streets selling her CDs.
Okay, who's saying that?
I am.
But you said here's the poor thing is on the street.
Well, my fear is that people will see me as my judgmental self sees me.
So your fear is that they will see you as you see you.
Yes, because why am I, like, would somebody who's successful be on the streets selling their CDs? I don't know.
Okay, so if we think about that idea of Alethic as natural necessity, what is the natural necessity of success for you?
The natural necessity of success is that I don't have to do anything, but maybe it's done for me. Or
are you saying that? Are you suggesting that you're not sure what success means to you?
Maybe.
So, if the anticipation of not knowing what success means to you is the potential that other people can tell you you're successful. So you're, in a sense, you're potentially giving over the act of the natural necessity of success, or whatever that is being given over to other people. So other people will see you as a success, and if other people see you as a success, you then articulate yourself as a success. Mm-hmm. Is that what you're saying?
I see what you're saying. So I'm giving my power away to people.
Well, it may not be that you're giving your power away to people. It's that you're empowering people to tell you you're a success. Mm. Because if I speak personally, it would seem to me that to decide to go on the street and present your music in an unconditional way to the world is a spiritual success. I mean, it's an ultimate. For me, that would be a natural necessity of saying, this is the talent that I have, this is the power that I have, and I'm going to give it to the world, and I'm just going to share it with the world. So it strikes me as a very powerful form of success to be able to do that.
So I think I know that on one level. So now when you say it like that, what comes, then I feel like I feel shy to do that. And the shyness feels like connecting that way makes me feel very shy.
Shy of what?
shy of really showing myself.
So
to strangers.
Okay? So if shyness is a shying away from something, or it could be interpreted as a shying away from something, are you saying that you're shying away from yourself?
Probably.
Probably or possibly?
I would say yes. Because I would say from all the things that I do in music, putting myself out there as a performer, or even just making contact with the audience, so whether it's me performing or standing there on the street, it makes me feel like it makes me feel shy, like I feel like I want to hide.
This is really strange. So I'll say this because it's just popped in my head. Do you have talent guilt?
Huh. A talent guilt?
Yeah.
I never heard of that before. Yeah, go ahead.
So one of the things in Alethic Coaching, what I'm always looking for is a contradiction. So a contradiction is to say, am I using shyness as a defense against the fact that actually I feel guilty about saying to the world how brilliant I am? And is there something about wanting to not be so brilliant because you don't want to say to people, look how brilliant I am, because if I am so brilliant, that suggests that you're not as brilliant as me. So I shy away from my power, because if I am fully present to my power, other people might feel less than. By virtue of me saying, look how wonderful I am, I'm actually saying to people, you are less than.
Yeah, that feels right. It feels, I fear that it's an ego thing to do.
Right. So that's what I mean by talent. There's, if we hold a position that one of the natural necessity of you is to communicate to human beings in a sense of the spiritual oneness. That sort of sense of spiritual oneness of the world is the natural necessity of you, so you have to do it.
Yes.
And you have to do it in a number of different ways. So you can do it through laughing, through comedy, through acting, through documentary making, through speaking, through being present. Your presence is the thing that allows people to see that there is oneness.
Yes.
But in some way, that's also saying to people that they are limited. So there's a potential of feeling guilty about the fact that you have capacity to be brilliant. And in some way, what you're potentially doing is blocking that divine quality of yourself, which is the divine quality of your freedom. So there's a possibility of suggesting that you're shying away from your own freedom.
That makes sense.
So is it possible to suggest that the fear is a fear of what would it be like if I was ultimately free?
Yes. It's, I guess, afraid of my light, or to be fully in it.
Is it the fear of being in the light, or is it the fear of the light?
I think being in it.
And so being in it means surrounded.
Being in it and not being judged. I would like to be in it and not be judged either by myself or others.
Judgments become pathological when we use a judgment to withhold something from ourselves, or place people in a position of judging me because it's them that then withhold something from me. And that fear of being judged then becomes a sense of the voice of the ego saying, don't do it.
Yes.
You're not good enough. Don't do it. And it's projected out to the world then. The world is telling me that I'm not good enough.
And for me it's don't do it. You're going to look stupid. You're going to look like a loser. Your family's going to be embarrassed. You're on the streets. So that's why I want to do it. I want to tell that voice, I'm not listening to you.
What you potentially could be doing is putting the divine quality of yourself into the shadow. By listening to the voice of the ego that's saying, don't do it, don't risk, don't hurt yourself.
Yes. That makes sense.
If we transcend the ego, so psychodynamically we need to have an ego to keep us operating, but if we transcend the ego and we move more into that sort of transcendental identification with our own internal power, our divine power, if you go out into the streets and play your music, that's kind of like a gift from God to the world. Why would you want to not give God's gift to the world? Your uniqueness is that element that makes you divine. Why not want people to see that you're divine?
Thank you.
What's the reason for you to go out and play your music to the world? What's your intentionality?
That feels like it would represent to me that I really am truly putting my artist self out there completely.
Right.
In a vulnerable way. Feeling
very vulnerable is the wrong thing to feel?
Well, I know because I'm a coach and all that stuff that it's not. But, you know, I have those fears and I'm wanting to heal it.
Okay. For me, vulnerability is recognizing there's an unknown that I can know. But it's also the recognition that I have to be in the space of vulnerability to find the knowing. So I kind of like to encourage myself to be in vulnerable situations. Not vulnerable situations in the sense of walking down a dark street when there are three guys with hoods and knives. Crazy vulnerable situation. But it feels to me that you're putting yourself in a situation that's not vulnerable in a sense of dangerous, but vulnerable in a sense of a space in which you know yourself better.
Yes.
You know more of yourself.
Yes.
So vulnerability becomes a space in which you know yourself more.
Yes. That's exactly it. Yeah, I feel calmer about it and more connected to why I'm doing it. So thank you.
Good. I'm pleased.
I'm less in my ego about it and more in I'm just being. So hopefully I have this feeling when I decide to do it. Well, when I actually do it. Thank you. Thank you, Gary.
It's okay. That's all right.
And there's an example of coaching with Gary Hawke. And it's always very different. So that's just something that came up now. And we've gone to really interesting places in the past and everything. So you are religious or spiritual?
If religion means to bind, the term religion usually means to bind towards something. I am spiritual and I am bound to an exploration of spirituality. So I would say that I'm spiritual and religious, but I don't see religion in a sense of a doctrine or a teaching as such.
And what religion do you most identify with?
If I was to go with my background, so I was baptised in the Church of England, so I saw sort of culturally I have Christian upbringing. About 30 years ago, I was baptised in the Holy Spirit. So I kind of had a kind of John the Baptist baptism as well. So I have a deep connection to Christian values because my family were Christian. My father was a lay preacher, so I'm sort of steeped in that really. My criticism of religion is making myths realities. I think that the values and the ethics of true Christianity are wonderful. I think the value and ethics of any religion are wonderful because they speak of universal things. For me, it's when religion starts telling us how to be in a kind of set of rules and regulations that go beyond moralness in a sense, and that's what I find difficult. But I also see that religions have a really powerful sense of ritual. I think rituals are really important. As a drama therapist, I'm trained in ritualistic drama therapy, which basically means therapy with ritual. So I also see that religions have very strong rituals, and those rituals bind people together. It's when those rituals don't have the flexibility of communicating with other religions that they become pathological.
Yes.
My spiritual journey has been one of not a greater source that's external to me, but a greater source that's within me.
Yes.
My journey has been away from a kind of God with a white beard sitting in heaven to a sense of my own divinity, my own divine quality that is within me. So there's a sense of God being within me.
Yes.
And therefore, if God is within me, it's my responsibility as a human being to be godlike. And what I mean by that is to want to support people in experiencing freedom.
Yes.
I want to support people in being unchained.
Can I ask you like a weird question?
Ask away, please.
So do you believe in the devil?
I believe in a quality of evil that appears to be like the devil. I see the devil is a Christian metaphor for a bad place, and it works really well to
for
be
a
able
bad
to
place.
say
You said
a bad place.
Okay.
So, and it works really well to be able to say such things as if you don't behave in this certain way, you will go to this bad place, and there's a guy there called the devil, and you'll be in damnation. You'll be in one of the 7 circles of hell, and it'll be terrible. And right there's this guy with cloven hooves and
Yes.
all these things and red things. What I believe is that in a human being there is a capacity to be ultimately evil. And that one way in which we could communicate that ultimate evil is to call it the devil. And I think I think there are some people who have very deep connections to that quality, that evil quality. And for me, an evil quality is a dismissive of the other. The ultimate. When I think about the devil, I think about Hitler. I think about a man who was able to quite happily say, let's kill all the Jews, let's kill 3 million Jews because actually they don't fit with my worldview. I think that people that deliberately injure, maim, rape, murder other human beings because they don't fit with their worldview, that's evil. But if we're going to be evil, we have a responsibility in the way that we are evil. If we talk about, if we say, oh, that's the devil incarnate and things, we don't actually say to that person, you're evil, and it's not acceptable. So I'm more for a kind of spirituality that holds human beings accountable for their own divinity and their own departure from divinity.
That makes sense. So what is oneness to you?
I was thinking about this, and I'm not sure if there is such a thing as oneness.
Great. Everything that I believe in, you say doesn't exist. Thanks, Gary. On my own show.
I think what it is that Alethic Coaching is all about questioning what is real. And one thing that I'm aware of in the sense of Alethic Coaching is the question of if there is oneness, it automatically means there has to be two-ness. The idea of having one means that there's got to be something else to be able to say that's one, which means that we can be separate. And I was sort of thinking about this. For me, I think there isn't a sense of oneness. I think there's a sense of unity.
Yes.
Because I'm the other thing I think about, my fear about the idea of oneness is takes away the uniqueness of individuals. What I really want to be able to say is that human beings, we are unique. There is a spiritual teaching that suggests we are the unique expression of God. And that unique expression of God, or how God sees the world through my eyes, is that unique view. And I really want to hold to that. I really want to hold to people having uniqueness. And I might call that a concrete individual, a well-formed individual uniqueness that is an expression of the divine. So your singing in the street is the sense of you in your divinity, in your uniqueness, offering to the world. And I like the idea of saying what we are is connected. We're human beings. We share same characteristics. And if part of my natural necessity is freedom, it stands to reason that part of your natural necessity is freedom. I can't be free until you're free. So that concrete universal is humanity working for freedom. That's I would say is oneness. That freedom then is expressed in a unique way. You can sing, you can act, I can do the coaching things, I can do the workshops. That's my unique expression of that concrete universal. If we are free, and if I'm working to your freedom and you're working to my freedom, we're beginning to be spiritual beings because we're beginning to be alive to each other. And that strikes me as what oneness is. Oneness is an aliveness to each other and a recognition that just as much as I have a responsibility for me, I have a responsibility for you.
Yes.
And I have a responsibility for you to both be connected to me, to share with me, and also to be yourself. The reason why I'm scared a little bit of the idea of oneness is that my Christian background was very much about being part of the church and that kind of closed mentality that churches can have. So I have a fear of oneness. And I think my fear of oneness is then taking it into a position of saying, well, okay, how can I avoid oneness? I'll avoid oneness by saying we have concrete universal.
Yeah, like for me, actually, like oneness does mean unity. Like that's like how you described it. Like that's how I see it. I just mean like we're all one, like we're all united. And
if human beings took time to inquire how each other sees the world, we're starting from a position of seeing how important the other is to me. You are incredibly important to me because you are other than me.
Yes.
But even though you're other than me, you are still me in a sense, really.
Yes.
So, and that's the kind of sense of the sort of Buddhist terminology of the non-dual, or the Hindu idea of the non-dual, the Hinduism idea, the non-duality.
Yes.
Is that there's not two, there's just unity.
That makes sense. You said freedom, it's free and spiritual, that all humans are. So what about atheists?
Well, I still think atheists are spiritual.
So do I.
I just read Sam Harris's book. What's it called? Sam Harris's book, Waking Up. Who's a sort of well-known atheist. And one of the powerful things about his book is it's incredibly spiritual.
Oh, okay.
Amazingly spiritual. I mean, he talks about Buddhism, and one of the things I think is that if atheism is a non-belief in God. As a sense of there's a God out there that created the universe, and then it's quite possible to suggest that I'm an atheist because I don't necessarily believe that there was a God that created the universe in a sense of a Christian tradition or a religious tradition. What I believe is that consciousness begins to awaken, and it's easy to call consciousness God. So even if spirituality is a faith in something or a belief in a particular doctrine, then atheists fit the spectrum of spirituality or spiritual because they have a doctrine and they have a faith and they believe in something, and they believe in something that they can't prove.
I see what you're saying. So it's the same thing.
I can't prove that God exists. Nor can an atheist prove that God exists. I can say God exists, and the atheist say God can't exist, but it's a transcendental question we can't answer. We cannot say if God exists or not. So we both hold a position of a belief in something.
Yes.
We hold a position in a transcendental belief that something is there or not there.
Yes. So I believe like there's a quote that says everyone is on a spiritual journey whether they know it or not.
If I interpret spirituality then as the causal intentionality to grow myself, but to grow myself for the good of myself and other.
Yes.
That strikes me as the core of all religions. When true religion is expressed, it's about supporting the other. You know, that love thy neighbour as thyself in a sense, really. I think that's the important thing. So I think that we are all spiritual beings, whether we recognise it or not.
Yes. Because
we all have that desire to want to live in a better world.
Yes.
We want to make the world a better world. If we don't work towards that moment of saying what's best for the world, as because the world is beyond me in a sense, we will constantly fight because we won't want to let go of what we value. My worldview, my value system is structured around, in some way, you can see a tribe as a group of people that become a collective I. So you can see how how Christianity and Islam become pathological, where it says, this is what collectively, we want, and this is what we're going to tell you that you're going to get. Whereas if we were to sit down and say, okay, what do you need? What do you require to be free? What do you require to feel expansive?
Those are powerful questions.
I might have to give up something of myself. I might have to think, well, I will give up something of myself. I may give my borders up.
Yes.
And giving my borders up, I might then allow you into my border because I'm giving my border up. But that also means you give your border up.
Yes.
So there is... Alethic Coaching talks about the idea of absence in things. For us to truly meet each other, we have to let go of some stuff.
Yes.
I might have to truly meet you, I have to let go of my ego.
Yes. To
truly hear you, I have to let go of my value system.
Yes.
I have to make myself vulnerable.
Yes.
To truly meet you. And I think we've populated vulnerability as a bad thing. Don't be vulnerable. Don't be emotional. Don't cry. Don't say what you really want. That vulnerability becomes something now that's become wrong.
Yes. Yeah.
And I think the more vulnerability we have, the more power we have to be able to say, what do you need?
That's beautiful. Thank you. I agree.
If I had to say anything to anybody, I would have to say to people, let go.
Let go, yes.
If you let go, you discover freedom. I think that if I would say that would be my final thing that I'd like to say. Let go, you discover freedom.
Beautiful. Thank you. And how can people find you and work with you?
They can. I have a website that's called, if they type in Alethic Coaching into any search engine, it will take them to my website, because there's only Alethic Coaching. Because Alethic is such a strange word, even if you type Alethic in, Google will throw up my website. So that's one way of contacting me. And also they can search me on Facebook. I'm Gary Hawke on Facebook.
And you have international clients because you do it over Skype and it's audio. And
I work in the Middle East now, I work in America, I work in the UK, I work in Europe. So as long as we can find a time zone that matches and meets in a time, then I can work anywhere or with anybody.
Excellent. Thank you. And I highly recommend trying out Gary's coaching because it's really amazing and it's helped me a lot. So yeah, thank you. And thank you for being with us today.
That's okay. Thank you.
Thank you for watching, everyone. And if you like what you see, please consider donating at emarmusic.com, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.